Welcome to Sing for Your Supper. Welcome back to my series on rethinking Thanksgiving. Today I'm going to be working on a side that's not traditionally known at Thanksgiving, but I just made it in one of my culinary classes and it was so flavorful, great color, and the flavors match really well with all the other flavors at Thanksgiving. So we're going to try it. Try something new, right? Okay, so in my last video I was watching myself and I noticed my cutting board was sliding all around. And here's a great trick. This is that shelving liner that you put on your shelves to kind of help your dishes not move around. So I'm just going to cut a square of that and I'm going to slide it under my cutting board. This is what we do at school, so I can't take credit for this tip. But look at that. It holds it nice and firm, and your cutting board's not going to be sliding all over the place. Okay, so we're making braised red cabbage. So here's my little cabbage. It's called red cabbage, but it looks a little bit more purple. So again, just adding more colors to your Thanksgiving plate. So I got my trusty food processor out, and today we're using the grater attachment. So make sure that the blades of the grater are facing up, or else you won't get too far. And put the top on, and we're just going to feed it in through that tube. So we need to make pieces of the cabbage that are small enough to feed through the tube. So you got some leaves on the outside that aren't too great tasting, so just pluck those right off of there. And we're going to cut the cabbage in half. This is kind of a small cabbage, so if you have a larger crowd that you're feeding, just get a bigger one. Alright, and cut to the halves in half. Then, if you can see, here's the little core right here. We just want to cut that out. And we may even have to cut these quarters in half to fit through that tube. But trust me, this is going to be so much quicker than sitting there and trying to slice it up yourself or to grate it on a grater. Alright, so we have our little 8s. Let's see if this is small enough to feed through the food processor. Okay, there it is. And if you got a few little chunks left, just have a snap, put it on a salad for lunch. Raw red cabbage is great too. Full of vitamins, nutrients. Alright. It's all grated up there. And look at that color, it's beautiful. Another big problem people have cooking a big Thanksgiving dinner is that they run out of room on the stove top or in the oven. So I'm going to be using another piece of equipment for this dish, which is my slow cooker, my crock pot. And we're just going to cook that cabbage in some liquid over low heat for a long period of time, and it's just going to develop a great flavor. So I'm going to pour just a bit of olive oil in my crock pot. You can cook in your crock pot as well. And I've got a half of onion, had left over from dinner last night, and I think that should be enough. If not, we can always add more later. Alright, just don't forget to actually, we're going to hang on to these because I'm going to show you how to make a stock that you can use for lots of recipes at Thanksgiving. Alright, we're just going to do a medium dice on this onion. Nice and quick. Try and keep your onion together as much as possible, because when you line things up, see how quick that was? It just really makes it quick to cook. Alright, so we've got our onion in there, and as soon as that cooks down a little bit, starts to sweat, we're going to add our cabbage and we're going to add our liquid and a few different flavors. Now the recipe that I had for this actually called for apples, but we were in class when I made this and we did not have apples at school. So we had some pears, and I think the pears held up a little bit better than the apples would have. because you know how apples can tend to disintegrate pretty quickly. So just like the apple, I like to cut my pear in quarters and just take out that core with your paring knife. And today I'm going to leave the skin on. So once you have your cores out, use your big chef's knife. And again, try and keep it together as much as possible. And cut nice big cubes because we want to have the variety of textures in the cabbage. I'm adding 2 more ingredients here. One that I forgot to put in just a minute ago, which was my chicken broth. So I'm just using my chicken stock cubes, and you can watch my blog to see how to make those. This is about 2 cups putting in there, and then I'm just going to add a small fresh bay leaf. You saw me use this when I made the chicken the other day, and the flavor was pretty potent, so I'm just going to use a small one because we don't have a ton of cabbage here. But I wanted to give it that nice, round, savory flavor to counterbalance the sweetness that we're going to have from the cider and the sugar. So one of the great things about using a crock pot is that you can just set it and forget it. So I'm going to turn it up to high, and I'm going to put my lid on it. Then I'm going to run out, do a couple errands, and when I get back, I'm going to add those additional flavorings, and I'm going to adjust the salt and pepper, see if it needs any sugar. So I'm back from doing my errands, and I have tasted the cabbage, and I'm going to add those extra ingredients that I was talking about. So while I was out, I picked up a whole nutmeg. So I'm just going to use the very fine portion of my grater here and just grate a little bit of fresh nutmeg into there. If you don't have fresh nutmeg, you can just use the stuff in the jar, but again, we're trying to do fresh this year. All right, just a little bit of that, and this is a little nub of fresh ginger that I had in the freezer. It's a great place to keep it because it keeps it nice and fresh, and it'll last forever in that freezer. And so I'm just going to do the same thing on the fine grates of your grater. If you have a microplane, even better. Alright, and I'm going to add just a little bit of brown sugar. Not too much, because I still want this to be a healthy dish, but it could use just a little help sweetening up. It's probably about a 1/4 cup. Alright, sprinkle that in there. Stir it up. And I'm going to wait to add my salt and pepper until the end, because if you add it now, it's going to cook down and it's going to make it a little bit too salty. So we'll just season that at the end.